Thought Bubble Audio.
Look, up in the sky!
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Welcome to Beer with Geeks with Tim and Frank.
Who are you?
I'm Batman.
I am Iron Man.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
You're a wizard, Harry.
A couple of guys with a couple of beers and a whole lot of pop culture nostalgia.
Make it so, number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
Name the dog in the animal.
Life finds a way.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Now sit back and crack open a cold one, because it's time for Beer with Geeks.
It comes in pints.
Shaken, not stirred.
Great Scott! I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
Hi, and welcome to Beer with Geeks, where two geeks geek out with beer. I'm Tim, and with me, as always, is my former Borg friend, Frank. How are you today?
Hey, resistance is futile, especially when it comes to Beer with Geeks. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing quite well, Frank. Quite well. Excited to be here to talk about all things cyborg with you, I think. That felt like where we were going with it.
Sure.
Anyway, what are you drinking today?
I am drinking. So I picked up a Sam Adams summer seasonal variety pack.
Nice.
And I got myself. You've got the Porch Rocker. You got the Sam Summer, of course. But this year, this is, I believe, a new one, and this is the Summer Adventure Lager. And this is really, really tasty. Like, I really, really like the taste of this. It's pineapple and lime.
Oh, that is an adventure.
A pineapple and lime lager. And it's really darn good. It manages to be very light while having that
pineapple zest,
that fruit flavor. I can kind of compare it to, this is not a 1-to-1 comparison, but just go with me here. You know how it's like the difference between soda and like flavored seltzer?
Yes.
Like orange soda versus an orange flavored seltzer.
Of course.
It's kind of like that in comparison with like other very pineapple or fruity beers, where it's like, no, you get a hint of it, enough to still enjoy it, but not so much that it's overpowering.
That's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. I will get some. I will. I will. I am drinking a topical drink, if you will. I'm drinking an Earl Grey hot. Hot. Because, Frank, truly, I think this was the one thing missing from the third season of Star Trek Picard was Earl
maybe
Grey
the only
hot.
thing that was
maybe
missing.
the only thing, and I thought that having it on the podcast tonight at least would give us the full rounded next gen TNG experience while we talk about the season 3, the final season of Star Trek Picard. Now, Frank, I am on record saying that I really didn't care for the first 2 seasons, right? I did not really like the first season. I found elements of the second season good. Like I liked a good chunk of it. It's something that still didn't feel quite right, but it was definitely better. And I freaking loved this season. This was the greatest thing that I've watched all year. Like,
right?
Yeah, like quite literally the greatest thing I've watched all year. In some excellent programming and movies and television and stuff already. This is the best. And it's not just because it's nostalgia, because for me it is and it's not, because I have a cursory relationship with Next Generation, where I've seen a bunch of the episodes because I would go over friends' houses, it'd be on TV. I've seen the movies a handful of times, but like my real interest in Star Trek were with the J.J. Abrams films, especially the first one, and a bit of the original series, and then those movies. So Picard, I don't know, just it truthfully elevated my Star Trek fandom to an S tier. It was at an A. You know what I mean? You have S, A, B, C going all the way down.
Yes.
And I would say that, like DC and Star Wars are my S tiers, Lord of the Rings are my S tiers, and then and Star Trek is and Marvel I'd say like are the next step down, and then it kind of goes from there. Star Trek has just like bumped its way up, where I'm fully committed to watching all of Next Gen. I'm going to do Deep Space Nine after this. I'm going to do Enterprise after that. No, Voyager after that. Then Enterprise. I'm in, baby. I'm doing it.
Damn, I love this for you. Welcome to the club of like Star Trek being on the S tier. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah,
like I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
I'm so excited you're one of us now.
Yeah, I truly haven't actually felt this like good about being part of a fandom in a long time. You know what I mean? Like you get almost hated by your own fandoms or whatever, but I was just like, this is so pure and so wonderful, and I just can't wait to explore it, to have the same spirit of adventure that Star Trek has about Star Trek. I'm curious and need to be, it needs to discover. It's great. It's great.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So before we get into specifics, what did you think about this season?
I similarly, I thought season 1 was okay. I thought season 2 started off stronger, but ended up being okay. Some things really intrigued me about it, but on the whole, okay. Better than season 1 probably in general. But season 3 was just, our friend Vactor has been saying it over on Treknopod. Like this is what this show should have been since season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is what it really should have been. And I respect that they had a different vision, that it wasn't really going to be like a Next Generation reunion. It was going to be Picard's story. But I don't know. The stories that they decided to tell were less compelling than a TNG reunion. So I'll take the TNG reunion, please.
Actually, Vactor sent us a video that I watched. It's like 20 some odd minutes. You should link it in here. It is like why Star Trek, why Picard, or why Patrick Stewart had to be wrong about Picard for season 3 of Picard to succeed. And that it is actually what I was saying even before I watched the video. And so I felt like vindicated or justified. I was like, yes, good. Somebody else agrees. Is that like the reunion felt good and earned and worth it because I watched 2 seasons of him almost floundering without his crew. Like, the captain is only as good as his team.
Excellent point. Yes.
And that is, and so like, whereas like his team was like, okay, in the first 2 seasons, like there obviously stands out, like, Rafi is like a standout, she was excellent and continues to be excellent. And I'm glad that's like a hang, you know what I mean? Like
that's right. Yeah.
7 of 9 being in there, right. Was also like a great addition. But those are like, one of them is directly connected to Starfleet.
Yep.
And the other one is also directly connected to Starfleet. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And that was kind of what was missing from Picard, was just kind of the formality of, or in some ways even more like the morality of TNG, or like the morality play of TNG. Like the first 2 seasons were really leaning into like just like, here's a story that we're telling. Picard happens to be here. And you're like,
yeah, kind of.
And you're like, okay. I mean, more the first season, because it would do things like, okay, so the Romulans are doing a thing, which is fine. No problem with that. They're in a refitted Borg cube. You think that would be any kind of significant for any of those characters? Like, even I, as like a previously tertiary like fan, would be like, hello, like even I know that, like,
right,
like, that's kind of a big deal.
Sure.
So, and I feel like this season 2 like fixed a few of those things. Like, like a lot of it had to do with Q, who like is even a character that like I knew of, you know what I mean? And, and stuff. And so then to kind of resolve part of that story, I just think that Terry, what's his name? Terry
Metalis.
Sounds like a Superman villain. Terry Matalas has kind of said, yeah, we're going to resolve an actual story here. Like, you know, because like you can't, a character, Picard is so uniquely tied to Starfleet and his crew and the Enterprise and the Borg and all these things. Like you like actually resolve a real story, like involve the family that he was with. So, but anyway, yeah. Do you want to just go into spoilers?
I think we might as well.
Yeah. I don't have any specific questions, so just tell me what, like, your general thoughts, what you liked, what you didn't like, all good things.
Let's talk about, you know, the big story at the beginning of this season, which was, you know, Jean-Luc and Beverly have a son.
Sure. Now, here's the so like I didn't know that they were like a thing, not a thing. Like,
oh yes,
but I thought Picard, the show, Star Trek Picard, sold me on the idea really fast. Like I just kind of knew, even without knowing. And I was like, well, I guess she had, you know, Wesley. I knew enough about Wesley Crusher, and you know, like, and obviously he showed up in the second season, so like I got enough context there of not the Forever people, Guardians of Forever. Is that their name?
I forget what their name is.
I think it's Guardians of Forever. That might be something different. I have no idea. The Forever people
something
is Jack Kirby thing. So, but
yes.
I got it right away, and as like I knew what the show was about as soon as Jack showed up. Like, you meet him, and you're like, oh, well, obviously you are his son. Yeah, you know, like I have like zero question about that, and I'm glad that it also didn't drag it out. Like, you know, that it wasn't like an 8th episode reveal. Like, oh, by the way,
that's right.
Yeah, like it was. Yeah, we just knew. I like the show had different surprises for us as the show went on. So like it made us care about the next generation because it planted the seeds of them so carefully, you know, like, you know, the Borg organic seeds, if you will. So, you know, so
yes, you know,
so carefully. So by the time I care enough about Jack, then the LaForge twins are the girls are there.
Girls, yeah.
Yeah. And then like, and all of a sudden now I'm like, oh, hello. 7 of 9 Captain Show. Oh, great. You are going to do that? Thank you so much. Just what I wanted. Oh, with the next generation? Thank you so much. Just what I wanted. Like,
yes.
Yeah, I just and like that's the thing. I didn't even know that I wanted that because truthfully, I didn't even really know who 7 of 9 was until I started watching Picard. Like I knew the name, like you know, but I didn't watch Deep Space Nine, Voyager. So I didn't watch both. So like, you know, like it took me until this year to know like okay, Captain Sisko is on Deep Space Nine. Janeway is on Voyager. Yeah. Like it took me until this year to like place those characters in where they go. So 7
before this, where they just sort of like, I know these names. I know there's a Janeway. I know there's a Sisko. I know there's a they get mentioned in different things that you know, or whatever, you know, different things that I've seen. Truthfully, Lower Decks has been like super helpful in like launching me into Star Trek because it cares not about whether you get the joke or not, or whether you get the reference. But now you're like, I want to know more about what you're saying, what you're referencing, and all this stuff. Right.
Yeah.
I totally get what you mean. I actually picked that back up this week.
Oh, really? Oh, good.
Yeah, because now that Picard and the Mandalorian are gone, I have a little bit of room in my TV watching schedule. So I was looking for something to sort of do a slow binge on, and Lower Decks was on deck.
Nice,
shall we say?
Nice, very good. So we get the son. So obviously now we're about legacy, and like that's in some ways the seasons 1 and 2 is Picard in search of his legacy, which I kind of like. You know, like you think it's about, you know, saving the day again. Maybe that's his legacy, or maybe it's about, you know, resolving old issues, or you know, tying, you know, with, you know, different things, and like, or maybe finding love, or you know, all these different things unresolved. But those aren't really legacy because they fulfill his immediate need, right? It's not about like leaving an imprint behind. And so I just kind of like that. Like you have this idea of like Picard literally starts fresh at the end of season 2. like,
Yes.
you know, fresh old body. And then so like he can almost like adequately tackle this idea about the next generation, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like what he's a part of, what he leaves behind. I just like that a lot.
I love that for him. I love that as a place to sort of land the plane, land the ship.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's a good ending spot for the character of. Presumably, we don't see, you know, many more continuing adventures of Captain Picard. Sure, Picard will appear in things here and there, or at least be referenced in things in the future. The same way that Captain Kirk still gets referenced today. But I think, you know, this is one of the last times we're seeing Patrick Stewart play Picard.
Yeah.
So to have it end here on this note was like, especially after the show sort of took some twists and turns, to have it end at the end of its final season in this place, talking about his legacy and having it be a satisfying ending that leaves the door wide open for a continuing legacy in Jack Crusher and Seven of Nine and all of that. Yeah, I really liked the way that they landed this plane.
Yeah, me too. And, you know, truthfully, it's not even what I think is the real success of the show is that it is still his show for sure.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, which is great. Like, I could never, like, yes, the next gen crew is there, but it's and they land their own ships.
That's right.
Them, you know, but it still like focuses on him in a way that it's still clear that it's his show. So I think it really well written because it never
totally
loses focus on its main character, but still evolves characters that we've been waiting to see. You know,
I completely agree with you. They managed to tie up everybody's storylines satisfyingly and in ways that felt earned for every character, every TNG character. But they told all of that kind of through Picard's lens. Like you constantly were seeing his relationship with each of those people,
right?
Like his relationship with Data and with Geordi and with, like, obviously with Beverly, obviously with not Frakes, Riker. You know, like just you saw his relationship with each of those people individually as well as a group. And so you got to have exactly what you're saying. It's through him. You're getting an emphasis on him. He's still the centerpiece of the show, but you still, if you're a fan of those characters, you get to have the resolution of their storylines too.
And I think for me, the placement of all of these characters like all feel like they've earned what I mean, obviously I haven't seen all 7 seasons of TNG, so maybe you can correct me in some ways, but like they were so obviously the resolve of the arcs that they all had over the course of TNG.
Yes.
Something as really simple as like Geordi not wearing a visor anymore.
Yeah, right, sure.
You know, and being in a higher command in Starfleet. And, you know, Data's quest to be human, you know, finally fulfilled. As close
big
as he
one
can
there.
Get. Yep. The Deanna and Riker's reconciliation, right? You know, so like, did their son die on the show, or was that like all Picard?
That was all off screen.
All off
screen. And what you were seeing, it wasn't exactly clear, but what we were seeing at the beginning of this season of Riker sort of recapping everything that happened was being told for the first time.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that's where newish to the fandom doesn't like, you know, like
I was a little lost too. I wasn't sure if this was something that was going over my head as well, but my understanding is that no, that was
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So
we were all in that together.
So what I really liked about all of that is that this is kind of strange, but it gave me the story I should have had with Han Solo and General Leia Organa.
Oh yeah.
Because it is like obviously their son didn't die. Well, at that you know, in Star Wars, it's you know, in the same way, but he was like lost to them, and they had a hard time reconciling those differences and whatever else. But they like never resolved that conflict within themselves before Han Solo dies. And so it's just never resolved. It's an unresolved, and that's like the sequel trilogy in a nutshell, like the unresolvedness of these stories. And that's what I just liked about this season, is that it was like, we're not doing that. We're like following the natural progression of these characters, understanding that this show, or TNG specifically, is a warm, fuzzy blanket. It is like, it is a utopian, like, look at the future, where they're like, the main conflict is like, how much are we allowed to discover? Like, that's, and and are people free, or, and so on and so on and so forth. So I just liked that they together had something to do. And truthfully, also that Deanna had like something vital to do, instead of just I feel something, they're angry, which obviously is helpful on the show, but like, she's vitally important. Like, she uncovers information that nobody else can do. Like, everybody's got a moment. Everybody's got a thing.
That's absolutely that's absolutely right. Yeah, they were all very well used. I keep saying the word satisfying, but I was just very satisfied with how all of their storylines progressed, how they ended. Like to your point, like, it all was natural progression from the show, and it just all felt really, really satisfying and really fun to watch. I was like, after a couple of seasons of sort of the season starting out interesting and then not really amounting to much, I was sort of protecting my heart with this one, and I was like, okay, but like, you're taking a big swing here by bringing all these characters in. So this seems good. Is this going to stay good, or am I going to be disappointed again?
Yeah, truthfully,
and it didn't disappoint.
No, I think every episode got better. Like, so by the time it like really reached its climax, there's nothing. It did not misfire a single step. It even like allowed them to like discover life again. You know what I mean? Like, to fulfill their long-lasting mission, and like that kind of thing. And it's not just about like to discover new, like, in some ways, like to discover new life is almost like discovering Jack, right? For Picard, like that's to seek out new life. I think it just plays with everything so well, and they're not jaded older people. You know what I mean? They still believe in the ideals of, what they did 30 years ago. And I just like it, which is what season 1 and 2 of Picard really didn't play with. And that is what, is not naturally Star Trek-y about that Star Trek show. They were maybe a little too cynical. It was really just, and characters that were cynical, like Captain, what's his name, over there? The jerk who wasn't a jerk. Oh gosh, I can't remember his name right now. Yeah, I've been really bad with the names of new characters on this show. Yeah, me too. But you know what? He was great. Captain Shaw. Thank you. He was awesome. He was so good, and like even he, like with his like, oh, I'm just a jerk because you don't follow the rules. Well, actually, I watched you kill a lot of people, and I just really loved that. It like everybody has a reason to act the way they act and to do the things that they do. And, even Worf, who was like on his quest to be, because Worf was raised by humans, right? Did I make that up?
I don't believe he was.
I thought he was. I thought he was Klingon.
I'm showing my own ignorance here. Let me.
We'll count this as my lookup. So even his quest to like understand that side of his upbringing.
Yep. No, you're 100% right.
Yes. I told you I'm a fan now. And so,
you are.
And so like even so him to like go from, zealot warrior to Zen warrior, right? I just love that, but he was still obviously himself. I loved the last episode where Riker was like, "You had a phaser in there the whole time. Swords are fun." Like I just
yes,
swords are fun. That and I will come and make it a threesome. I died.
You got to hear that, right?
Yeah. Do you even hear yourself? Like, I just it was so good. Like all of it was so good, and like it was the right amount of levity versus the right amount of drama versus the right amount of romance and whatever else, except for poor Saris, I guess. Who's Saris? No. Laris. Yeah, Saris is a completely different. That would be what an odd story. Picard is with. By the way, Picard is with. Oh my gosh, Spock's dad. Just FYI. Yeah. Nope.
Sarek.
Yes. That's it, Sarek.
Close
Yeah,
That's
so
good.
she's
Very
the.
different.
I feel like that was really the only weirdly unresolved like story where it was like they were literally just had to get her out of the way so he could go on an adventure with his friends.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. It was just sort of like, all right, let's sort of tie this up and set it aside so we can get back to
Beverly Crusher. Everyone,
get
Thank
down
you
to
so much.
exactly.
Yeah. Did you have?
Oh gosh, that's funny.
Going back to the Enterprise, did you have the feels? What were those feels?
Yes, that was beautiful. Going back to the Enterprise, like seeing those lights come on and seeing the old, Elcar's interface and the carpet, of course, the famous carpet, and the lighting. Like it felt so. It just felt like home. It felt very homey.
Yeah.
Because you could very much you could have modernized it, but they kept it. They shot it very similar to the way it would have been shot.
I agree. The lights were like mood dimmed. It was like the underlighting of your kitchen almost.
Yes, they tweaked a little bit. It wasn't exactly like it was.
No, I mean like it was 87. The thing is shot in like high fluorescent. Like there's no high key lighting ever. There are no shadows on the Enterprise. Everybody.
Yes.
You know what? And it's funny. Picard mentions the carpet, right? He's like, I've being here together with you in this room, or this, the bridge. I've realized what I've been missing this whole time is the carpet. And but for years, I thought the carpet makes sense. I say in a home that is not carpeted, but but they're on a spaceship. Why make it sterile? Like make it slightly homey. Have a carpet. Like why not? Sure. Why not? It makes sense to me in that fashion.
I like to think that just like in the time period that this show was made, carpet was, was in fashion.
Mm-hmm.
I like to think that the same thing was happening in the time period in which the show took place. The carpet was having a moment, and so the Enterprise had carpeting at that time. Coincidentally, just happened to be the same fashion that was happening on Earth in our time.
You know what they say? Fashion and technology are cyclical, Frank.
Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah,
that's very true.
So I'm not surprised in the slightest.
Mm-hmm.
Q's reappearance at the end, to Jack Crusher. Hey, I thought you died. He's like, time is not linear. How did you feel about that? Did you feel like bringing Q back, like not bringing Q back? What do you think?
I mean, it does. So I feel like the end of this. The many endings of the finale, the Return of the King style, like there are 4 endings to this episode. It did a lot. I mean, really, the whole season did this, but those endings in particular did a lot to sort of say, by the way, season 2 of this show never happened. It did not happen. So many of the things that we established in season 2 are just completely out the window. Season 1 too, for that matter. But a lot of things specifically in season 2 that were inconvenient were just cast aside.
What's interesting is like they are and they aren't, because like Jack mentions that Q died. So like that's obviously like they're mentioning it, but they're like, time's not linear.
Hand wavy. Time's not linear. It's fine.
Truthfully, I love that explanation. Like that was, for me, that was great. That's all I need. It
was just enough. Yeah. Yeah, it was just enough to be like, all right, I you're definitely hand waving, but I've allowed it on other shows. I'll allow it here.
Sure.
I'm not going to let it bother me that much. But that it was that was one thing that I was like, okay, so we're just pretending that we're just going to not pretend, but they're just explaining that away. Okay, fine. That and the whole
What the whole what, Frank? The what?
Sorry,
the what?
I just lost my train of thought.
No kidding.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
I just lost my train of thought.
No, or do you have it? Do you have it? You're pushing your eyebrows back like you're a Vulcan. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I lost it. No, but that was one thing where it's like, okay, the Borg Queen, that was the other thing.
Oh, sure.
The Borg Queen was not Alison Pill. It was not, anything to do with the Borg Queen we saw in season 2.
Nope.
And I guess Terry Matalas said, like, yeah, that's sort of an alternate history thing, I guess.
The way that I kind
Queen.
of saw it, or the way that I, in my head, I guess, is that because season 2 deals with time travel, in that, like some things just, like, don't, like, time got flubbed.
Sure. But once you've done a time travel story, and there have been many in Star Trek, but once you've done that, it's sort of like, yeah, it's an alternate timeline. That happened too.
Sure.
There's an Kelvin timeline. Yeah, this is just a different. This branched off the timeline we saw in season 2.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You know what? And that's truthfully, I don't care, because you know what? I'm probably never going to go back and watch seasons 1 and 2, but I will definitely watch season 3 of Picard again.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, like, really, when it comes down to it, like, when I'm finished watching TNG, I'm going to watch the movies, and then I want to watch season 3 of Picard to wrap it up, because I may even skip the movies. Nah, I won't skip the movies. But like, the real ending scene of them playing poker, is a shot, like, that final shot is the end of TNG. I haven't even seen that episode, and I know that. You know what I mean? Like, that's wonderful. Like, that's
beautiful. That's
the beauty of this. You know, it's not so much fan service; it's show honoring. That's right. Yeah, it's show honoring.
You know, speaking of that sequence, there was. Did you hear how that was shot? It was scripted. There were scripted lines for that scene, but Terry Matalas said, deliver the lines you got to deliver, but then just riff, just ad lib for a while. And in all of this, they shot 45 minutes of them just sitting there playing around in character, messing around with each other, ribbing each other, totally improvising for 45 minutes.
Wow.
I want to see that footage so bad.
Sure.
I want to see the uncut footage.
That's like the
bad.
Peter Jackson Beatles documentary, where it's just like, give me the raw, uncut, the messing around footage.
Just give it to me. Just give it to me straight. Yeah.
I mean, because it's so obvious they like each other, and not like I'm acting like I like you, like Kirk and Sulu, or Kirk and everybody.
Oh yeah.
Or what, but like, they actually get along. Like, when I was watching that video about, why Patrick Stewart had to be wrong, like, Frank had an interview where he said, like, Picard, Patrick Stewart brought everybody to his house, the original cast to his house, and said, we're doing a Picard show, but it is just about Picard. Like, he even had the grace to be like, hey, people I haven't worked with in 20 something years, like, this is what's happening. Like, that's how much this means to all of them. It is wonderful.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. It's just wonderful.
What a class act. Well, all of them.
Yeah, all of them. I just love them all so much. And I'm just jazzed to be in it now. Yeah. Amazing. But anything else you'd like to say about Picard?
I was so excited at the idea. I was hoping for a 7 of 9 series, like
totally
you referenced earlier, and I didn't expect them to full on, like, sort of set up a pilot though at the end there, and just be like, here's the premise, like, we can just write a pilot plug into. I'm sure that's been written.
And Terry better be show running.
Yeah, exactly. I have heard that I guess there's a project in the works called Star Trek Legacy, and that this might be.
Oh, sure.
That might be what this is.
That would make sense.
That would fit.
Yeah, because there's the Section 31 show coming with Georgia, Michelle Yeoh, and then there's the Star Trek Academy show coming.
Yep.
And then I guess this one plus Strange New
Worlds.
Yep. Yeah. It just feels good that there's going to be I just feel like, this is kind of dumb, but, like, should there always be a show about the Enterprise?
Oh, like in the mix?
Yeah. And I know there was obviously eras when there wasn't, like Deep Space Nine overlapped with Enterprise, with TNG, and then Voyager was obviously not the Enterprise, right? But then Enterprise comes along, which is, so, like, and then the movies and whatever. So, like, I feel like to ignore the Enterprise is kind of like, I don't know, ignoring. I don't even know. I can't even think of a comparison. I would say something like the Millennium Falcon, like maybe that, but like obviously there are tons of Star Wars things without it. So maybe it's like ignoring
Luke Skywalker or something,
or ignoring the Force or something
ignoring
like that.
The Force, yeah.
Like it's there.
Right.
Even though may the Force be with you, even if nobody's using the Force, that's
right.
part
even
of
even in Andor, like the Force is still
a thing.
Yeah.
And so, I think it's kind of like that. But the Enterprise is a character.
I agree.
Even when it's a brand new ship, like that just gets rechristened, it's still part of the legacy, right? So I hope that ends up being true. I mean, obviously they set up a pilot. That's what I'm getting, like and I will be there to watch it. Did you know that Jerry Ryan is 55 years old? I looked it up.
That's incredible.
Isn't it? Absolutely incredible. She just kills it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
I'm such a big fan of her. Just I love her as that character.
Yep. Yeah, big fan. Like, again, I didn't even watch Voyager, and I'm a fan. Like, yeah, so cool. I'm so excited. Anyway, Frank, tell the people where they can find us, talk about other things.
Sure. You can find us at beerwithgeeks.com. You've obviously found us in your podcast app, but please, while you're listening, go ahead and leave us a rating or a review in that app, or subscribe, and get every episode. We've got almost 500 episodes of all sorts of topics. So go ahead and check out the backlog, and check out our other shows, past and present, at thoughtbubbleaudio.com. And if you like what you hear, please support us at patreon.com/thoughtbubbleaudio. Wonderful.
Frank, it was a pleasure to talk to you about Star Trek in such a wonderful, deep, maybe not so deep way, but either way, I love talking with you as always. So until next time, cheers.
Cheers.